everybody, Richard Witt here with another video blog. Today's topic of discussion is going to be the 5 reasons homes don't sell. First, what I'd like to do is give you those 5 reasons, and then we'll touch on each one individually. First reason homes don't sell is pricing. Second reason is staging and photographs. Next we have access to the property, and then we have the attendance of the seller at the showing, and last but not least, rejecting the first offer. So in terms of pricing, virtually every homeowner wants to get as much money for their house as they can, and because of that there's a tendency to ask too much. In the climate that we're in, pricing is critical. You need to be in the middle to low end of the range where your home is going to ultimately sell. Overpricing basically does nothing more than help your neighbors to sell their homes, and at that point in time you're going to slow down your showings, slow down your offers, and it's far and away the most critical thing that you can do. Now, staging and depersonalizing and photographs. In the last few years, staging has become a very popular thing to do prior to putting a house on the market. What that means is properly arranging your furniture and removing your personal items from the house. That way you have people focusing on what you have as opposed to focusing on what your life is about. What you want to do is make your house as much of a commodity as you possibly can. Once you have done that and you've depersonalized the house and properly staged it, the most critical thing that you can do to help the sale of your house is take spectacular photographs. Alright, 90+% of all buyers start their search for a home on the internet. If they look at a property and it doesn't have good photographs, or any photographs, they're passing it by and going on to the next property. There's just too much for sale. You need to attract attention by having great photos. Now, the next thing that happens with sellers is that they limit the access to their property. What does that mean? It means that buyers are on their own schedule, agents are on their own schedule. When that schedule meets, you need to be available to allow that person to see your property. If you restrict the access to the property, again, they're going to skip right by you and go on to the next house. They're not going to come back. The bottom line is you need to provide maximum access. Talk to your agent or to your broker or whoever it is about how you can offer maximum access. Maybe you put a lockbox on the house. Just keep it in mind that you want to have as many people look at your house as you possibly can. Alright, when you do have showings and you happen to be home, your goal is to get out of the buyer's way. Alright, you do not want to engage with the buyer and or their agent. What you want to do is make yourself scarce. Leave the house completely if you can. If you can't, just go to a room that they've already looked at, or just go outside or something, because buyers have, again, their own agenda. They have their own set of criteria that are driving the purchase of their home. That criteria is, let's say, the agent is aware of that criteria and is showing based upon that criteria. When you volunteer something to a buyer that isn't in fact what they're looking for, you can kill the sale. I've seen more sales squashed by homeowners telling a buyer something great that they loved about the house that was just the opposite of what the buyer was looking for, and immediately they just decided against the house. Now, the last thing I'd like to talk about is your first offer. 9 times out of 10, the first offer you get on your property is going to be your best one. What does that mean? Does that mean it's going to be everything you want? Maybe, maybe not. But the truth be told is that if you look at the emotions involved in purchasing a house, the earlier in the process you get an offer, the more likely it is to be the highest offer you're going to get. So from that viewpoint, you want to always look at that first offer as your best one. It's not going to, most likely, it's not going to get better as time goes on. The longer the house sits on the market, the lower the offers are going to get. Now, also keep in mind that virtually every offer is coming in between 15 and 20% below the asking price, but they ultimately sell for between 5 and 10% below the asking price. So just keep in mind that you want to negotiate that first offer out as to the degree that you possibly can. that's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you need to ask me any questions, it's Richard Witt at rwitt@whitney.com is my email. That's rwitt@wittney.com. And my phone number is 516-795-6900. That's 516-795-6900. Thanks for watching.